Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another beautiful evening with Live with Lloyd. I am your host, astronumerologist Lloyd Strayhorn. And boy, do we have an exciting show tonight with a very, very exciting guest that I had a opportunity to talk to. And so it's going to be fine. Her name is Sasha Allen-Walton. She is something else, but she's an Aries, so that would make sense. Okay. So, but meantime, though, before I bring on the show, let me bring on my sponsors, which is brought to you by Nicholas Brooklyn. They're out at 1396 Fulton Street in Brooklyn, Nueva York. All right. Please go there this Saturday. They're going to have Brother M. Fiduci, who was a guest on my show about 2.5 months ago. And he was talking about Egypt. He goes to Egypt about 3 or 4 times a year. And he's going to be featured there. For those that missed the event, Nicholas Brooklyn is offering access to the live stream of Rizza Islam. When he was in New York, he came all the way from California with his family. And so for those of you, just get in touch with the phone number at the bottom. Also, my other sponsor, Manifest on Purpose, Miss Kimberly. And she always talks about the subconscious mind, things of that. And so it's very interesting, all the topics she has. And also my other sponsor, Jazz Aphrodite, talking about a cardology class coming up on the 18th. So there in the bottom right, you see how to get in touch with her. Starting next week, we're going to have a new set of sponsors. We're going to have some continuous ones. Brother Simon will be back. He's got some events. But before I bring on my very distinguished guest, today is Wednesday, May the 8th of 2024. The sun is in Taurus. The new moon, which went late yesterday, is now a new moon day in Taurus. It's a 4 universal month, a 6 universal week, a 3 universal day. So those under the signs of Sagittarius and Pisces are likely to be the beneficiaries of the day, as well as anybody born on the 3rd, the 12th, the 21st, and the 30th of the month. So now that I got that out the way, hold on one second. All righty. Everybody, I want to thank you very much for joining us. I am astronumerologist Lloyd Strayhorn. Let me say this. I am so thankful. I'm so blessed that all of you always show support from the Williams out in Chicago. Melanated Brown, she's always the first one out the gate, always giving props. And for those on a regular basis, I thank you very much. But without further ado, I got to bring on my very special guest. And she is an Aries. Hey, Sasha, how you doing?
I am doing well. How are you?
Fine, thank you. You are a divine healer and a transformer. Now, when you say transformer, for those who may not understand, I mean, it ain't about Transformer movie. It's about transform. You explain when you say you're a transformer.
So I work with transforming your energy and supporting you. I'm a deaf and I'm a spiritual doula. So as a deaf doula, I journey with you on the process of dying. And sometimes that looks like supporting your family, preparing your body when you pass, making final arrangements. And the most important thing to me is the legacy work, making sure that that is intact. If you're not going to be here for your grandchildren's wedding, let's write a handwritten note for them to open on those special days. Let's record your voice. These are things that people lose in the process of grieving. And I want your memory to still be alive in the absence of you. And so as a spiritual doula, I journey with you through the transformation of you. Whatever path you decide to go on, I support you through that. I coach you through that. I cultivate you and help you kind of notice some of your own gifting and what that can look like and how to expand upon that. And more than anything, I am a safe space. I'm a strong back so that you can kind of come to me and be vulnerable, fall apart, and get the resources and the nourishment that your spirit may need in that moment. And so it's a lot of fun. It's very different work. There are multiple hats that are worn throughout it. And it kind of goes hand in hand with my herbalism work. And so I enjoy this work. It is important. It is necessary. It's vital. And we need people like me in this world pouring back into folks.
Well, I tell you, as soon as you said something, I'm saying you are first of all, what is a doula for those that may not understand?
So a doula is to be in service. That is simply what a doula is. You have birth doulas, death doulas, you have sound doulas, frequency doulas, postpartum doulas, energy doulas, and spiritual doulas. And so we are all in service and commitment to that particular thing and building sustainable relationships with that and with you through that process.
Well, you know what's interesting, because numerically you're born on the 26th, which is an 8. Today is an 8th day, and 8 represents death from rest or labor, symbolically or physically. How did and in fact, the 8th house in astrology is called the house of death, the death house. How did you get into the death doula?
So
Because I never thought about that. That people would probably in their last days, especially those who maybe not have a lot of relatives or their family members have passed away. First of all, how did you even get started in that direction of being a doula, a death doula?
So I am a medium. So I've always heard spirits and noticed things that everybody else didn't hear or notice. My earliest memories are about 4 and noticing you shouldn't be in this space and you don't look right. And I have, as a result of that, I always actually got to be present for death, whether it just happened to be in the right space at the right time and somebody was crossing over, a relative was crossing over. I had this very comfortable connection to death and the concepts of death. And my husband's grandmother, I think it was 2019, she got sick and she had pancreatic cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of standing in the gap and helping the family. And there was, a lot of chaos. And I remember noticing about 4 months before she passed, they're running out of time and nobody realizes this. And I started doing then. I started prepping folks, started doing a little bit of the grief work, trying to help people plan the services. I would check in with her, and my favorite question with her daily was, how is your spirit today? And she would look at me and be like, what does that mean, Sasha? I'm like, how does your spirit feel? How do you internally feel? Are you exhausted? Are you frustrated? Are you just like, I'm over this? What is that? I want to honor that. And I want you to be able to say that. And also, I don't feel any way. If you are tired, you don't want to do this, but I know you can't necessarily say that to your children. So let's have conversations like this. Shortly after her passing, I saw something where I could sign up and get certified as a death doula. And the spirits worked things out because I was certified under the Black woman. That was very important to me. A Lua author was my certification teacher, and she's a world-renowned death doula. And she really brought this community of death and us all collectively together. And so that began the beginning, and then I just got to keep.
You mean there is actually a certification to be a death doula?
Yes.
That's
If you are
interesting.
doing death work, you should be certified, because death work isn't just supporting you through death, it's also into life planning. And what does that look like? Where is stuff in the house that you don't want your kids to know? Tell me where the vibrator is so I can get it out of here. Are there any documentation you need me to put in one place? Let's build this so this is an easy process when it's time. Where are the passwords? This certification is grueling. It's an intense program.
I don't doubt it, because all of us got to get out of here. No one leaves this earth alive. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
And death
Okay.
doulas have really, especially during the pandemic, we are the new version of hospice. The hospice you have
Interesting.
now is not a very nurturing environment to even cross over. If you're not dying within 2 to 3 days, hospice wants you out. And that's horrific because a lot of families are not equipped to deal with someone passing in their home, nor do they want to. And especially marginalized BIPOC communities. We're the ones who are hit the hardest. We don't often get a good death, a peaceful death, and what that may look like for us is different. But we don't often get to die on our terms. I am
Well,
determined
you
that
know
when
what?
I service,
I'm so sorry. I mean, this has conjured up so many questions for me, because during the 2020 episode with the COVID-19, people couldn't even attend their relatives' funerals.
so
So
during the
how do
pandemic,
they deal with that?
you had death rituals because this is what they are. They're death rituals. Whether we go, Miss Carrie done passed, and we gonna go by there and bring a pound cake and some food. Whether we gonna drop off a gift card to buy groceries, whatever that may be. So many of us were denied that and had to die alone. There were countless clients that I supported who had to sit on the phone and listen to their mothers die
Wow.
and not be physically present, who had to wait for the nurse to say, okay, she's gone now. And those were their last moments. And the level of isolation that they experienced in the thick of it, and even in the funeral services, because a lot of the funeral homes, you couldn't come in. There might be
That's
10
what
or
I'm saying. You couldn't even be present.
so it was a very, very hard time. And a lot of my clients, I suggested that they do a private service if that's what they wanted to do, if they wanted to move forward and have the services then, and to do a bigger public memorial when the restrictions were lifted, or do a virtual memorial. And that was interesting, even navigating what does this look like, and also reminding people death should be celebrated. It should be celebrated. You have passed on to the next dimension, whatever that may look like for you. You are free of this plane. That means you've mastered the lessons you need to master here. You're moving on to something new and different. We should celebrate that. We should honor that. And that is the number one thing I remind people. Celebrate. You don't want.
Go ahead. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry because every time you talk it, I've got because when a person is in the last stages of their life, is there a common thread that they have talking to you as a death doula, like regrets that they didn't do this, or I should have done that, or secrets, like you said, get the vibrate out the room, or whatever the case is?
So one of
That's
the things
interesting.
I
That's
like,
interesting. Go ahead.
I like to ask a client, is there anything from your story that you have not told your children? Let's video record this, or let's write this. They deserve to know more about you and more about your story. Is there anything about the family that they may not realize? Let's document that and give that to them so that the history and the narratives of this line continue into the next generation. We do a variety of different things. A lot of the most common things that I'm asked towards the end is, did I make the right spiritual or religious decision? And the answer is, we really don't know until it's time to cross over. If it felt right with your spirit, if it felt right with your heart, then it was the right decision. And I don't believe that the concept of source or God is limited to one version. That version may work for you, but it may not work for her. And if it doesn't work for her, however she connects is just as valuable and important. And so I always want to encourage them and remind them, I will honor whatever your practice was and your ritual of crossing over. So if there's a certain way the body needs to be cleansed, if there are certain prayers or blessings that need to be performed, I will ensure that those are not only done prior to handing this body over, but I will make sure that's included in your funeral and whatever your arrangements look like. It's affirming them and who they were in the celebration of them. And that's a good time too. You get so much wisdom in these moments because now they're at the end and they're just kind of vomiting information. And to be able to catch little gems and hold on to them and really look and say, wow, okay, I see why you moved that way. Tell more of your story. Make sure people understand who you were and why you operated the way you were, because so many times there's trauma in our households, trauma in our families, and there's not clarity about what that ramifications, what happened, and how we're going to move forward. The trauma just sits there and we put a little carpet over it and keep it moving. Don't let that continue into another generation of your lineage. If it's something that needs to be said, say it so you could be at peace too. If there are things you need to share, share them.
But you know, it appears to be so many people are afraid of death, yet we all have to go this way. Everybody, our parents, myself, children, grandchildren, other ancestors. I mean, not the ancestors in the past, but future generations before me. No
Absolutely.
one stays here. So I think that's very, very interesting. And yet, because, and when you talked about certain rituals, I know like in the Muslim communities, when a person transitions, the body must be washed. Other religions do that too. There's
And the
all
body must
kinds.
be in the ground 3 days.
What happened?
Muslim services must be performed within 3 days. So when you get into different cultures and the practice and
Yes.
religious practices, that ushers in how quickly things have to be arranged, as well as, does your culture allow autopsies?
Yes,
That
exactly
means
right.
that's something
Exactly
that's
right.
allowed. And so how do we navigate that? How do we deal with the insurance when that happens? How do we ensure that things are being done right? Also, a lot of times I'm in the funeral home, so I'm like, y'all, please stop cracking this ground. It's not worth what you're paying.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to go to the funeral. You're going to go to the grave site the first year. When you are healing in the grief and when you are moving forward, you do not go to the grave site. You might show up for Mother's Day. You might show up for a birthday or a special occasion, but you don't show up like you show up when it happens. And so there is no disconnection from you and that person who died. There is no distance, space, realm, or dimension that severs you from any of your lineage. The relationship shifts, the way you connect with them shifts,
Mm-hmm.
but their energy and who they are is still present and a part of your existence and a part of your lineage. So when you need them, you can connect with them. When you missing them, you can connect with them. But there's a period where we must let them sit and transform on that side before we access that energy. And so making sure our people understand, no, we keep cracking this ground and it's great. And we do it based off of Christianity and what we were taught. But you're just talking about $5,000 just to crack the ground. Your funeral is going to run over. That coffin is going to charge a premium. There are so many hidden fees that are going to happen.
I was told.
If you do an open casket, they're going to charge you to embalm. If you're going in the ground, I don't really need to embalm you, especially we know what you died from. So there's so many elements and different things. Think about, what did our ancestors traditionally do? They wrapped you in fabric. They buried you in their space. You have the option of green burials now. You have so many different options than we had before. It requires some finagling, connection with your town and whatever the limitations are. But we don't have to keep going out here giving all this money this way. I'm quite certain the folks that passed over would prefer for you to spend the policy maintaining something within the family that'll show up
above ground, so to speak, rather than putting it all in the ground.
Yes.
And in fact, in the South, there used to be, because when I was a kid staying for a little time with my grandparents, there was no problem with the relative being buried in the backyard.
Absolutely.
Not at all.
And it wasn't taboo. It was just it still is such a normal practice. So you've got options now.
You know what? This was not how I was going to start this interview with you. Okay. Trust me, but you said you're also a spiritual doula?
Yes.
Can you explain that?
So a spiritual doula also journeys with you through the process. And so a lot of people they're decolonizing their spiritual practices. And so they might be leaving Christianity or some Abrahamic religion. Unpacking all of that and figuring out where do you fall. And also dealing with the turmoil of the separation of the family. Because a lot of family members not going to appreciate and rock with that movement. And supporting people through that and finding their village, their tribe, and even what practice is best for them. Some clients are Buddhist. Some practice Ifa. Some are Wiccan. Some are Hoodoo. Some are just in a marriage of things and don't identify in it. Some of them are Rastafarians. We celebrate every level of African spirituality. And so we support that, whatever that transition may look like for that person. And in supporting that, of course, I'm going to make you do some shadow work. You might end up crying in the yard with me and moving some things out of the body that need to be released. We work through navigating the trauma of the deconstruction and even the feeling of, have I been lied to? What have I been practicing? What have I been given permission to that I didn't understand? And I'm always going to make you read. I'm always going to make you do some additional research. I'm just a resource, but you need to own this and develop and flesh this out and be sure this is what you want to do and this is how you want to do it. And that is just so different for so many different people. But more than anything, it's a reminder that there's space for you, no matter what you do, where you are, and how you practice.
Now, so is that all encompassing with being a transformer? Does that make sense?
Yes. It all kind of goes together.
Wow. Over and above this, there's also some things. Cheryl Herb said, this is amazing. Never thought of this. I never thought of it either.
We don't get to have these conversations and because a lot of times we feel like it's taboo.
I was going to use that word. Do we think it's taboo? Yet we all got to. We all got to transition.
Absolutely. And then us not talking about it leads to not knowing that things are going on, not knowing that there's not a policy, us possibly having to sell dinners, figuring out what this is going. It's just so many things because we won't have the uncomfortable conversation. And it's not going to be a long conversation. Sometimes we just need to know, Grandma, if you go, is there a particular song you want us to sing or be performed at your services? Is it, and the most important thing to me, who you don't want there? Who you don't want at your funeral?
Has there ever been a case where somebody said that to you?
Yes. And I have absolutely let them know when let the people know at the door, whoever was at the door. And if I had to come down there, you're not welcomed. If you weren't welcomed in life and they chose not to welcome you in death, we're going to honor that for whatever that reason is.
Wow, boy. You know what? There's a lot of things you take for granted and you just assume.
Mm-hmm.
Just really, really assume. I think this is for me, this is an eye opener because I never thought about these things like that, you know?
But you should think about them. You should think about that.
Of
If
course.
you weren't rocking with me in the living and you was doing everything to work against me, whether you were aunt or uncle, whatever that was, it's my right in death to say, no, you don't come in this space. You don't need to view my body. You don't need to be a part of my celebrations. You weren't actively a part of my celebrations in the living. You don't get to be part of the ceremony of my death. And so that autonomy and that power still belongs to that individual that transcends and that family. And sometimes the families don't appreciate it. And that's why I always believe in documenting. If this
That
is
makes
what you
sense.
want, we're
That
going to
makes
do it.
a lot of sense. Here's a question too. What happens if somebody, you kiss them off, give them a hug in the morning, and by the end of the day, they're no longer here? Sudden thing, an accident, a fall or something, a stroke, or how do you deal with a situation like that?
So that person's grieving process is way more intense because now we're dealing with the guilt. There's a difference from the guilt of maybe somebody who survived a horrific wreck and the passenger passed.
Mm-hmm.
This is a different kind of guilt because it's a constant loop of what you said and what you did or whatever that conversation was. I always tell people, now listen, your spouse might get on your nerves. Some days mine does too. But I will always make sure before we walk out this door, I love you and I want you to know that I love you. I
Yeah,
want,
because you never know. You never know.
and you can't take that for granted because you don't want that moment to be the last thing that you hold on to. One of my last conversations with my dad before he passed, it was 4th of July week, and I was going to New York. I was going to have me a good partying time. And he was telling me, put some snow tires on that car. And I was like, it's July. I don't care about no snow tires. What you talking about? And my father was a much older man. And he was sadly carrying on. And I didn't understand. I come back from New York. I go to see him. And I discover my father is in hospice and never said a word. Not only did he not say a word, he knew his time was up. And so our last conversation, our last real conversation was over snow tires and him writing me about making sure my car was prepared for the winter. I did not catch, he was communicating with me, but I wasn't catching it. And so it was on brand for us. And he was always doing something for one of my vehicles and making sure I was straight because I really am blind. I just bring the car. I don't know what happened. Dad, can you figure it out? But it's things like that that are a reminder. There's other stuff you want to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's other stuff. And if I had a call in, there would be some other questions I would have asked.
A whole lot more, probably, because
Yeah.
there's a young man I know where his mother told him the night before that she loved him. He was ticked at her and she never got up that morning. And he walked around with a lot of guilt, a lot of regret.
Absolutely. And
So
it
we
eats
never
away
know.
at you and it affects the body. And that's the thing with grief.
Can
Grief
you
comes,
repeat what you just said again?
it'll eat away at you and affect the body. Your
Interesting.
actual body will begin to show the signs of the grief and what's happening. Whether your adrenal system shows it, whether you mysteriously develop some autoimmune disease, whether you develop a cancerous condition, these all need places to fester. And so when we hold everything in, especially women, we hold so much in internally and we don't release. And a lot of times we don't even realize we're carrying all this weight and we're going and we're going and going. And the lack of release causes medical complications for us. And as we know in this country, if your skin got any tint of melanation, you are in danger in a lot of the traditional doctor's offices. Things are not caught quickly. You got to fight for testing additional information. Nobody's going to explain some things to you. Nobody wants to tell you that some conditions come with complications, which means you're not going to have a compact disease going on where there's multiple conditions happening.
Mm-hmm.
All of that happens. And we forget to actually take the time to say, I'm grieving. I have to extend grace to myself. I have to clear my plate. Because you're going through a metamorphosis of itself. Grief is a teacher. It's a tool. If you submit and yield into it and don't resist, you will come out a completely different person and you will master the lessons and move forward a little bit differently.
Two
A lot of
things. I'm so sorry. Let me let you finish. I mean, because every time you say it conjures up tons of questions for me. Like, doesn't this says that people need to be nice to each other?
it really says on
Shouldn't they
it.
practice some humanity toward one another?
We
That the
need to
God in
figure
me
out.
loves the God in you? No?
There definitely should be a level of humanity and compassion, and especially between us as a community, right? We don't got to be nasty with each other.
Yeah.
We got other people doing that to us. We don't got to do it to each other. And even if we don't like each other, we can not like each other and still say, hey, how you doing? And keep it moving.
Yeah, good
It
morning or
doesn't hurt us.
something.
And that is vital. That's also vital to staying in your joy. And that's important to the body.
Why do some people think they can live forever? Like, when you look at some of these medical commercials, they got this as if the person think they're going to live forever. No one lives forever. What is that mindset about? Until reality sets in.
It's almost like a game that we have bought into, right? And I believe that you should have the right to leave when you get ready to. So if you decide you want to be 120 years old, I hope you get as close to that as possible. If you decide I'm leaving at 60, cool. Whatever your course is, I'm okay with. But we buy into this concept that because that worked for Peter, that should be my way. Not considering, do I really want to be here to be 120? How many people I'm going to have to be by myself? How many people I'm going to lose? What is the quality of my life going to be like? The food definitely ain't going to taste the same as what I grew up in.
Amen.
All
On
those
that
different
one.
things. We really have to assess what works and what is working. And there was a time where we could sustain like that. We ate off the land.
Yes.
We had the same environmental issues we have. We also didn't have the same kind of stresses, and stresses directly affecting our organs. So it's a dream, and it's a beautiful dream for whoever chooses to do that. But is it necessary? Is it vital? Do you want to be here that long? Are you curious about what the next phase of your journey might be like?
In some cases of those who don't want to be here long, does there seem to be a common theme or reason for that, if that makes sense?
People get excited when they consider what is the next phase of my journey, especially if I'm existing in this plane and things are complicated. They're not going well. I got to constantly you get over one hurdle to have a new problem on your back. Every time you turn around, it's something else. They see it as freedom. And I totally respect that. If your freedom is to be free from here, then all I'm going to do is support that. Now, some people I'm going to ask them, hey, I know you want to leave, but let's talk about this. You don't think you have value to instill in this world for the next 5 years? Could we consider that before we move forward? And sometimes it's simply, I don't feel valued. I don't feel seen. I don't feel supported. So what am I staying here for? Especially when you look at our young people. How do we anchor that? How do we support that? How do we commune with them and let them know those things? And so I don't have a problem because I believe death is on your terms. Whenever you choose to go, you choose to go. But I'm absolutely going to support you in whatever that may look like.
And speaking of that, what about those people who feel they don't want to be here and is contemplating suicide. Have you ever had that experience with some?
I have had that experience. And I've had people who've actually done it. And
Wow.
my constant dialogue to the family and the folks were, they went out on their terms. And there's no justification that you're going to comprehend because it had nothing to do with you. It's like when you get a vision, when you get an idea that's planted in your spirit, it's yours and no one else can see it. And no one else may believe in it, but you fully are invested and you're doing everything because you can see and you're communing on a different level and you're laser focused. If you have decided that this isn't the way you want to exist anymore, and it might not have been something that I wanted for you, but if you chose that, all I can do is respect that. All I'm supposed to do is respect that. All I'm supposed to do is support that. I just had a family member do this about 3 weeks ago, and it was shocking. She was 17, and everyone was
Wow.
very upset. And it's particularly her brother because he had talked to her the night before. And I remember saying, she made a decision, and she had the right to the decision she chose. It is hurtful. It just feels like a heart has been ripped out of this whole entire unit. Her parents are in deep grief. But something was happening that she decided this was no longer where she wanted to be. And instead of being upset, let's take a moment to lean into the young people in our family and check in with them. Instead of taking this energy and focusing it that way, let's
Mhm.
repurpose this and pour into them so we don't have this experience again anytime soon. And I've taken the time, some of my other cousins have taken the time to just check in with some of the folks we hadn't been checking in and seeing
Mhm.
where they are. And also being aware, hey, if you anxious, call me. I might be able to give you a good laugh. I might come get you and take you for some ice cream. I might just tell you, today's the day you got to suck it up. It will be okay. I'm going to call you later on, but you're going to have to suck it up and keep it moving. Whatever that may be, let's just make sure you're supported and seen and somebody knows what's happening with you.
Yeah, as this person says, always be kind, live every day like it's your last day, be grateful, and always count your blessings. So true. That sounds so simple.
It
That
is.
sounds so incredibly simple.
It
You know?
really is. But life be life, and then sometimes we don't do it.
Now, here's a question that's interesting. They said, I studied the astral lane and travel. Could I be a deaf doula?
You need to be called to this work because this is very intense work. When you have to stand in front of somebody who's crossing over, other energy comes in the room and you feel that. And you need to be able to handle that because it can overload your entire sensory system. And when that's happening, you still got to be present for the person you ushering into that next side and the family who's in the vicinity kind of falling apart. So what I will say is sit with your spiritual system, check in, see where that goes, and see what program you like. I'm going to warn you, it is an intense process. As comfortable as I was with death, there were multiple days where I was like, whoo, um, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do all that now. When
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
to literally empty a body of fluids, that's a little bit much. And you
yeah.
have to do it honorably and cleanse it and teach a family how to do that. Because the funeral home can absolutely do that. The nurse could do that. But isn't this your honorable love? Shouldn't you be the last one to touch those bodies? Shouldn't you appreciate that? And so it's a beautiful process, but I'm not going to lie to you. It's rough and it's intense. But if you feel like you want to venture into it, we can always use more death doulas. And
Here's
you'll
a,
also see they're called end-of-life doulas and
yeah.
soul midwives.
You call it what it is, a deaf doula.
I do.
Yeah. This person says, is cremation a good thing, or does that fall within the guidelines of the last request of a person about the transition?
I
Does
believe
it make
cremation
sense?
is a good thing because cremation gives you an opportunity. You
What do
can
you mean?
cremation gives you the opportunity to either plant some of those ashes with a tree to turn into a piece of jewelry, to sit in a space that you actively commune and talk to split amongst family. So if that person had multiple children, we are now able to give them all a little piece of her still. I think it's what you love. To be honest, I would be cremated. Um, don't crack the ground for me unless you're going to put me in our backyard. I'm cool with that. But don't pay that expense. Cremate me.
Keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because late last year I attended my uncle's funeral,
Mm-hmm.
and my cousin, his son, was telling me how expensive it was to do everything. I mean, it was just like, it was amazing. It was just amazing.
And it's different because like we're from the South. So a funeral means you calling everybody from there up north if it's here. And if it's someone in the South, all of us from up north got to get there. That means you are also on a welcoming committee, you feeding people, you've got to entertain a little bit. It's so many elements that go into it that we don't think about. And then the cultural things, the different cultural components that go into the funeral and go into the celebration process.
You know what? I had no idea that when you gave your introduction that we would spend this amount of time, and I didn't even get to the good part yet, the other part that you do. Um, you make an interesting product, which are teas. And all this is supposed to be leading up to Mother's Day, because she's got some things that women need to know for their bodies and spirit and things of that nature. And how did you go from being a doula, death doula, spiritual doula, and then, well, when you say transforming, is that what you did? Like, you come up with all these fascinating teas. Um, and in fact, let me, first of all, before I start showing them teas, and they are so affordable. That's what's so amazing. They are incredibly affordable. There's no excuse to not to have a tea in your cupboard, or whatever the case is. How did you get into that too? From spinning from that to creating tea to help life?
This was all happening at the same time. I got severely sick. I didn't realize my adrenal system took a hit and it was like in complete fatigue. I miscarried. I was sick for about 4 months and nobody could figure it out. It was on bed rest. It led to me being depressed. And I had a team of doctors, and none of my doctors could figure out what was going on. And I kept saying, no, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't add up. And do this test, do that test. And they were sick of me because I was researching and understanding, and I was learning more about the medical body. And I got desperate after month 3. I called a Chinese acupuncturist and I called Dr. Gao. Dr. Gao was 93. He told me, come in today. I went in and I told him what was going on, and he went through and he put the needles everywhere. And we did a round of that for probably about 4 or 5 weeks. After the first 2 sessions of needles, Dr. Gao said, hey, I need to put you on some herbs. And I said, well, I'm a budding herbalist, so let's talk about what that looks like. He was so intrigued then. And so we developed the most beautiful bond. He put me on some herbs, and they were horrific because he didn't flavor them. And I suffered and sucked it up. And then one day I said, I'm tired of this. I understand what's happening, and I couldn't get my blood pressure to go down. I want you to understand when your blood pressure is elevated, it's more than you are stressed. Your kidneys are not operating properly. Your liver is not operating properly. Your circulatory system is not operating properly. So we think it's one little thing, but it's all these things compound that create that issue. And I knew I didn't want to be on blood pressure medicine. It's not effective. It causes other issues. In addition to that, melanated organs are formulated a little bit differently. So the medicine doesn't always work for us. And if it does, there's a complication, a side effect.
Yeah.
I put some herbs together because I went in there and I called forward my ancestors and I said, hello, I need the ones who worked the field, worked the land, and understood the plants. I need you to come sit with me. And they came and sat with me. And I said, I'm thinking about these 3 things. And they came and they told me I have these 2 other things. Within 24 hours, my blood pressure was down 40 points.
Wow.
From that one, he was like, what did you do? And I told him what I made. He was like, you keep making your stuff. Don't you stop, whatever you do. I said, okay. So it became like an experiment for him. And he was like, stop taking my stuff and just take your stuff. He just wanted to see what was happening. I
That's
knew
interesting. He was open to that for you to go your way. I think that's nice because, you know, doctors, because I have a relative that used to work in the hospital and they said that MD was standing for God, like they're gods.
Yes. They
You know,
really felt that
there
way.
you challenge them.
And so from there, we started with the blood pressure blend. Every product you see stemmed from me or someone in my family needing a product. And it got to the point where I was getting phone calls with, hey, I got this going on. What do you think? And then I'm asking these questions. And they're like, well, will you come to the doctors with me? And I'm like, sure. And it has just grown in the
Well,
most.
the line of products you got is fantastic. We're going to show in a moment. I just got one more question. Are you familiar with this deaf doula,
That
author?
was my teacher.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, he said this is the first deaf doula that they've seen talk about this work. And they want to know, how did you become one? Is there certification? We've answered that early in the program. Yes. If this was already answered, I'd play back, but it is fascinating.
I'll tell you one thing I didn't say before.
Yes.
In order to participate, and so when you go into program to be a deaf doula, right, you don't get in automatically. There are specific questions that are going to challenge you that must be answered. There's an interview process. Then you get into a program, and then the real thing happens.
Really jump in.
You do. One of the first assignments I had to navigate was envisioning my own death and work through how the spirit leaves the body.
Interesting.
It was very interesting because I like death. I'm cool with it. But when it becomes your turn,
maybe it ain't that cool, right?
No, it wasn't. And I was like, it became a real emotional experience because I was like, oh my gosh. And then you get to see, oh, wait a minute. So Alua is wonderful. It was very important to me to study under a Black woman. It was very important that she be the one.
And her name is, did I say her first name correctly?
Yep, you did.
Author.
Alua.
Alua author. How did you listen? I'm trying to get to the T's, okay? I'm doing the best I can. Listen, we're gonna be on a little past the time allotted, if that's okay with you.
That's fine. I found her TED Talk around the time that I was looking, because I had a session, I had a Reiki session, and I kept saying to my ancestors, I know y'all want me to do something with this. I'm not really ready to tell everybody else I'm a medium. And I kept going back and forth with them. And then I went to the session and they came through and told me directly, you can be a deaf doula. And I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
And I got out of the session and started researching. Then I found Alua. I was obsessed. I followed her stuff. I was all in and I applied. And I didn't think I would get into that program. But I said, this is the only one I'm going to apply to because this is the one I want. And I got in. And it was intense. And I did it. And then when you get certified, you still got to take a national certification test if you want to be in a different kind of accredited deaf doula.
So that means whether you're in a place like New York, Connecticut, California, Atlanta, Texas.
There's one national test. So with my national test,
interesting. This is interesting.
So I literally can do this work internationally based off of my certification and my national testing. So
as they say down the street, you got receipts.
I do got receipts. I got receipts.
This is I gotta be honest. This was not the direction I was going to go with this. I wanted to talk about those herbal blends and stuff you put together. We're still going to talk about that, but we're going to, that only because that question was brought up at the last minute. I says, wow, did you know this person? You know, okay. So what we're going to do is talk about, now, how long have you been putting your teas together, your tea blends?
This is year 4.
Really? Okay. I've got 4 images of your teas. So if you don't mind, can we talk about them?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is the first one I've come up with. Can you explain these, please? and they're so affordable. That's
They
what
really
I'm saying. It's like, what is that
so
all?
our third eye chakra blend is designed for people with a gift of sight. And it's also designed if you would like to experience some of that gift of sight. It features ceremonial white lotus in it. White lotus is only used in ceremonies. I feel like opening up that third eye is ceremonial and we're going to celebrate it. And so it's a beautiful blend. It's a delightful experience. Our anti-inflammatory is really, really focused on pain and inflammation. It's excellent for folks with autoimmune issues, for muscular pain. Some of it is supportive in terms of nervine pain because sometimes those nerves are inflamed. As the added benefit, a lot of times when you have pain, mentally you start to get a little blue. You don't feel like yourself. There's some Tulsi in there to help with that. It's to help balance you out and keep you sharp and not falling into a fog. Our anxiety blend is one of my favorite blends. It's bliss in a cup. It's very calming. The other thing about the anxiety blend is I have nerve damage, and that's the main reason why I love it. I love how it supports a flare when my nerves are on fire, whether they're shooting or like today I woke up and I knew it was raining at 3 o'clock before it rained because my wrist was on fire.
Mm.
Um, that's a day where I use both blends. Our armor spray is a protection spray, particularly as you're healing, you're unpacking memories. It's a protection of self and protection of mind. It's a beautiful blend. You can use the sprays in a diffuser. You're welcome to spray yourself. You're welcome to anoint a candle with the spray. I do not use any essential oil. All of my sprays are only made with the plant matter. So it's not going to be a heavy scented experience. Our arthritis blend is excellent if you have arthritis, whether you're beginning or showing a little bit of signs of it. And Beta is our all-purpose pain tea. Wherever you would take an ibuprofen or aspirin, you take Beta.
Interesting. Hold on, let's go to the next one because I says I don't know which one to pick. So I just and these are I've got 4 images, but you got more teas than that. Hold on. Now this set, okay? Let's talk about this set of teas or blends, as you call them.
Hot Swat is all about bringing the juiciness back, especially for women who have entered menopause. Their libido is not enticed. We want to bring that back. We want to bring the enthusiasm back for you. We want you to have stronger orgasms, and we want to balance some things within your reproductive health. The IBS blend, this particular blend is for the constipation and bloating. Indigo lemonade is our blueberry lemonade. I love this blend. I've been obsessed with it the last couple of weeks. It's just fruity, it's bright, but the added benefit is spiritually, it's a blend to cut and clear things when you need to. The kids protection cream I made because both of my nephews have the gift of sight and they don't always appreciate the night visitors they get. And so I had to make something to help them be able to rest and not have to constantly be revved up against the spirits they were encountering. And so the kids protection cream is designed and formulated in a way that the issues move around your children. I always ask parents to be mindful of how your kids respond around certain people while using this product. You need to make those adjustments at that point. The Love Bomb tea is an excellent Mother's Day gift. It is all about creating a lighter heart space that has cardamom in it, chamomile, and strawberries. It's just chef's kiss. It's a beautiful blend. And what I love about that blend is when people drink that blend, even the things that they quietly hold in their heart, they begin to show up for them. And the surprise on their face as things begin to come to them is just beautiful. So Love Yours is a smoke blend. We make smoke blends. Smoke blends can be burned on a charcoal disc like a resin, smoked by themselves, or with cannabis. Love Yours is all about radiating that loving energy and pulling it towards you. There is something in here that's going to make the body respond. So have your partner around if you are going to use it, because I'm warning you now, you are going to be like, what is going on? Where are you? Get over here.
I know that's right. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Okay, here we go. This one.
So Mojito is our mango mocktail. It's our mango mojito blend. It's excellent for, for cookouts in the summer. I feel like a lot of times There are people, whether they are pregnant or whether they just choose not to drink, but they don't get often offered something fun to still kind of hang out at the party. This is a great iced tea to do that with. And all of my blends can be used hot or iced. Nourish Me is for pregnant mamas, specifically those who are in the second trimester and going into the third trimester. When you're feeling tired, you're getting to the end, we want to provide you with additional nourishment and vitamins and herbs that you're going to need to sustain. The PCOS tea is for folks with PCOS.
What is that? What is PCOS?
I cannot remember the exact definition of PCOS, but I will tell you what PCOS is. So PCOS is a hormone imbalance that often happens in women. So you have hemorrhaging periods or missing periods. And
okay.
And with PCOS, you have too much testosterone in your system. That leads to cystic acne, overgrowth of hair, or hair falling out. And so this blend balances the testosterone, helps with the moodiness that comes, and a little bit of the flare up of aggressiveness that shows up in PCOS individuals. And so this blend will balance that out. That will make your period come back and come back smoothly. Not hemorrhaging, not heavy. If you desire to have children, I need you to have a cycle, because a cycle means we're ovulating, which means that you can conceive. And we can work on the rest once we can get you to conceive. Rain is a spray that's formulated for folks that need to rule and dominate over situations and things. So this spray you can spray on yourself. Maybe you got a boss who is being difficult and you got to go in here and deal with them. You just need to be able to hit yourself and know you're going to walk in. It can also be used on a candle. It could be in the atmosphere of your space, of your workspace when you need it. Our respiratory tea is going to pull everything out of that respiratory system, okay? So get a cloth because you're going to hack it up. So anybody who's been smoking, has bad respiratory issues, we're going to pull everything out. It's a beautiful mint tea blend. And it's also just good in the winter when it's that time of the year for the cold and flu. Our rose oil and the respiratory tea is also good for asthmatic people as we head into the allergy season. Our rose oil is for irritated, sensitive skin. Again, any of my oils and my sprays are just the plant matter in the oil or the water. I don't add any perfume. I don't add it. And what I mean in perfume, like a fragrance oil or essential oil. I believe in keeping it natural.
Okay, this is the last set. I wish I'd have known this the way you explained it. I'd have had every image you got in your site up here so people can see it. Now, these blends.
These are fun blends. So our vitamin C booster, we all can use a boost of vitamin C. Wake up is that midday pick-me-up you may need throughout the day. You might be slumping. You stayed up all night. You just overwork. You might have to take the kids to practice and you just want to just crash. We spray Wake Up to bring ourselves back and be focused. Wanderlust is a very fun tea. It is a tea that will have you lifted. It is a Vision Quest tea. She's just beautiful in what she creates and what she allows you to do. You can have so much fun with her. What I will say is see where you are at before you have a cocktail or anything else with Wanderlust, because you will be up there. Wand is a foot circulator to move toxins out. We created Wand specifically for folks who cannot get in the tub. Whether you're older, whether you don't have a tub, we still need to draw toxins out of the body. And it's a perfect way to do it without any issues. Our womb steams are excellent for women. Historically, we used to get into tubs. And so some of the things that were happening were kind of coming out through the bath water. We don't do that anymore. So now we need to steam and we need to pull things down and make sure cycles are starting the way they should and not with old blood. If there's any miscarriage or trouble conceiving, we need to clear the way and we need to support the body. Womb steaming leads to a lighter cycle and a shorter cycle. Consistent steaming. And you really, if you steam for 3 months straight, you will see a night and day difference in your cycle. And then Zen. Zen is so much fun. Zen is an energizer.
No, get the door.
It's our coffee replacement blend. And so with Zen, if you've had an Arizona green tea, that is very bland in comparison to Zen. Zen has verbena, rosemary, lemons, ginseng. It's a good time. And that's an excellent on ice.
Wow. This is This is amazing. Hold on one second.
Okay.
No. Just no, this is amazing. And let me tell you, that ain't all the teas. I just took those pages, okay? And then you got some for men. You got
I
some
do
for
have
men
big.
for their libido too. Because we
I
can't
do.
leave out the
So
brothers now.
we have a version for brothers called Big Dick Energy. So men don't like to hang out as long as women like to hang out.
What
So
do
I
you
want you to
mean?
hang out.
What do you mean?
Sometimes they don't want to hang with us as long. We want to keep going, and they like, hey, wrap
Oh,
this
you mean
up.
in those intimate moments?
Yes, in those intimate moments.
Okay, got you.
Okay. So we're gonna entice that libido so you hang out a little bit longer. So you have a stronger orgasm. So we balance your reproductive system and support you. They're great apart, but they're magical together.
That means the women can get this for their men for
They
Father's
absolutely can get this for their men. And I'm gonna give you a trick. So when I was making BDE, my husband was sick of me coming in there with teacups.
Day?
Especially, I think
I
by the
know
third
you
day,
was.
he realized what was happening. He was like, "What is going on?" And so I switched it up. I steeped it, I let it cool, and I made it the base of a strawberry smoothie. And we were drinking it, and then one day he was like, "What the?" I said, "You're welcome. Come on, let's have a good time." So once this product got finished, he was like, "Don't bring it back in here." But what I like to describe it as, it's vacation sex at home. That's a
Is
totally different.
vacation sex at home? Yeah, because sometimes there can be monotony that sets in, or whatever the case is, right?
This is a good time without leaving your house.
So it's called Big Dick Tea.
It's called Big Dick
Exactly what
Energy.
it, huh?
It's called Big Dick Energy.
Big Dick, same thing, same thing. Okay, but the point is, so for you ladies out there that's got somebody that ain't doing what they supposed to do or need to do, that could, they can get it for their Mother's Day too.
They absolutely can.
Now that I think
They
about it.
You should, because you should have a good Mother's Day. You should have a good time.
This is funny. I mean, you're serious, but so for the males out there, you know what you'll need to do. Okay. For the women, where your man might not be as at the top of his game, this is a good thing to gain for your Mother's Day and say, honey, I want you to drink some of this, take me out to Mother's Day, and tonight we'll have a good time.
That's right.
I think that's so cool.
It really is. It's you're not gonna be disappointed.
But see, here's the thing: for what it does, and for the fee that it is, it's so affordable. There's not anything in here that's going to break your bank.
It's not.
Nothing.
That's important.
Look at those. That's why I kept the prices.
Yep.
I
That's
mean, so
very
people can
important.
understand that this is well within a person's budget, and they can buy several blends of teas, especially for the women. Can we go back over the teas, especially for Mother's Day for women? Now, which on this would you recommend for the mothers for Mother's Day?
I think anti-inflammatory is important for mothers because they're always well.
That's all right. That's how it goes. Don't worry. Let's see. I think we may have lost her temporarily. But by the way, this is very interesting, folks. Let me put a banner up, please. All of you, please go to her website, Sasha's Whole Earth. Okay, there she is. She's back. Okay. All right, Sasha. I've had a whole lot. The lights went out. The power went out on my computer. Okay,
it happens.
That's live interviews. Okay, ain't no pre-props. No, you know what I'm saying? No scripted stuff. This is live. But
So I'm gonna tell you guys a couple products that I think are very important and mothers should have.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me take this off a second. Let me put up the brands a second. And so you tell me in this first batch which of these, because you were starting with anxiety teas, I think.
Yes.
Or anti-inflammatory. I think that was
anti-inflammatory and anxiety. And I think what's important when we talk about that is moms got to run around with these kids, and these kids is driving them crazy. Their muscles are sore. They lifing. They deserve some relief from the inflammation and discomfort, and it's good. It's a fun tea. It's minty and bright. Our anxiety tea is just the perfect chill out tea for a mother. It's a relaxing kind of thing. There's not too much she's got to worry about, and it also, because of that lemon balm, it keeps her adrenal system calm. So even when the kids is kidding, they making a lot of noise, they doing a bunch of stupid stuff, even if they adults, and you're just looking at them like, these my kids. That is the perfect blend to keep you from being like, I'm about to yoke you up.
Right, big time.
So that is a good blend for that. Our solar plexus blend is a good blend for mothers, especially who are trying something new and unsure of themselves, because it's all about building your confidence. And that solar plexus chakra blend is just a beautiful way.
Now, was this up in tea number 1 here?
I don't think it's in your pictures. It just popped in my I just saw a picture of it. That's why I threw it out there in my brain.
Now, what was the name of it so they can know what it is? It's called what?
It's called the solar plexus. Any of the chakra blends are going to be good for mothers. In this batch, I love balm. I'm always going to advocate for moms. Their hearts always need a little gentleness and some space to just be gentle with themselves. They take care of everyone else and not necessarily themselves. I would also suggest our throat chakra blend. It's called Throat. I'm Gullah Geechee, and that's how you say throat in our language. And Throat is opening that space so we clearly communicate effectively, and not just effectively so that we can say what really needs to be said. Have some of those uncomfortable conversations. That blend has butterfly pea in it.
They can be a lot of those. Now, what from this image would you recommend for women for Mother's Day?
I'm going to recommend.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm going to recommend Love Balm. And I'm going to recommend Hot Swat because you deserve to have a good time.
So between the big dick, whatever that is, and that should make for an interesting party, huh?
It should be a really good time.
Okay. I like how you put that. I like how you put it. What does IBS stand for? IBS-T?
Irritable bowel syndrome. So this blend is for folks who are dealing with the constipation and the bloating.
Interesting. Let me go to the next one. This is Sasha. This is fun because we got to come back and do a review at some point. Okay.
Yes,
now what about these? What about these?
I think the rose oil is really, really important because moms don't do enough self-care. And something as simple as that is a reminder to her to spend some time nourishing herself. And I would say the mojito, because sometimes you need the feels of having a cocktail, but you don't actually want to do that. Mojito.
You kind of want to get that kind of feeling, like, although you're not there in that way.
You might be at the soccer field and you might be like, I gotta take these kids to 2 more games today, and I can't go hang out with my girls and drink wine or whatever you may like to do. Well, you can have a cup of mojito on the go and feel like you are in the same vibe.
That's interesting. This is fascinating. One more, and then let me see. Right here, this one.
I'm going to say the womb steam. That's so important for mothers to take care of their womb. Your womb is a portal. You bear life through that. And you should take some time. Womb steaming isn't just on the medicinal value of what it does for your womb, but it's sacred time between you and your body where you commune, you can express gratitude, you can do whatever you may need. So I'm always going to suggest that. And Zen, because you got to have energy to run around and be a phenomenal mother.
Amen on that one. It takes a lot. I know. I'm not a mom, but I know what it has to take. All I can say is, Sasha, listen, let me put this up here so all y'all get this straight. Y'all need to go here. Okay. The Sasha's website is called, her website is sashaswholeearth.com. And don't forget, it's Sasha. You got to put an S after Sasha. Okay. Sashaswholeearth.com. And then she describes all the teas. Okay. I mean, it's just very good, hon. Very good job. A very, very, very good job. I honor you on this one.
Thank you. And if you're on this site and you have questions, there's an option to message us. It's not AI. One of us from the team is going to respond to you, because we want to make sure you get the right things you need.
And they are packed so nicely. I should have had some teas you sent me, how nicely packed they are. This, like, you got any?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, they are so nicely packed.
One right in front of you, one behind your computer.
Yeah, there's nicely packed. And I mean, it's fully
So
packed.
I stuff my packs. I don't skimp on you. You get
no, they're full. They're full. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, you got to wrap your hand around it, okay? And I'm saying for the prices that she's offering, you'll have no excuse not to get some of these teas for Mother's Day, and get that one for the man for Father's Day too.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how quick they can order for Mother's Day, because that's right around the corner, but they can certainly have it for Father's Day. Huh?
We will be shipping out up until Friday is our last day of shipping, if you want to get it in time for Mother's Day.
Okay, and it's called, what does it get? Big Dick what?
Big Dick Energy.
Big Dick Energy. Okay. So if y'all want to have a good time with your fellas for Mother's Day, y'all should actually place the order today. Okay, y'all need to go to this website right now and order those teas, those herbs, those oils, and things like that. She is on IG. She's on TikTok. Now, let me tell you how I met this beautiful lady. She called me for a reading, and I just happened to ask, what does she do? And, I'm always about their health and just the raising of our viewers' consciousness and awareness. And then when I went to a website, so she had all these teas, man, I said, and then it was so affordable. I mean, for what they do, really, there's no excuse. So I want all your, and she's on TikTok under Sasha Whole Earth. Her Cash App is $. Now, she is doing this with no funding, no investors. You can be the investors by sending a Cash App to $Sasha's Sasha's Allen-Walton. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So y'all send it there. Y'all send a donation there to help the sister out so she can continue to work, and she'll probably come up with more teas as a result of our investment. And then for Venmo is Sasha-Walton-2. Okay. I got to have you back. I really do.
Because we didn't get to talk on so much other stuff we was going
to talk about. I know. And it was all your fault, okay? I'm only kidding.
I know. Y'all can reach me on all of my social media feeds. TikTok is a little bit different and it's more of my farming. But you're welcome to contact me. If you had any questions that didn't get answered tonight, please feel free to reach out to me. I can see the comments now. Someone says, do I teach? I do teach. I usually post I'm going to teach.
You teach at Wesley University in Connecticut.
I teach at Wesleyan. I teach at a multitude of different spaces. And so if you're following me on social media, you will see where you can connect with me and where I'm teaching at next. And hopefully you're enjoying the experience of hanging out with Sasha's Whole Earth.
Well, listen, I wasn't finished. I mean, I could have asked you I could have probably kept you much, much longer, but it's not like you don't have anything to do on your end. But I will have you back. And I'll show other blends that I didn't show. But for those of you who need to see her whole catalog of what she has, now I've ordered a couple for me. I ain't going to tell you what I ordered, but I done ordered me some already, okay? So that's all I'm saying. And so for those of you who would like to take advantage of all especially for women, for Mother's Day, for your body, your womb, all the things that women are concerned about that we men don't have a clue, okay? It will be very good for you. And maybe, I think this is good. Maybe men need to understand this too, so they can understand the women more.
They do. And even if there's a service, because if you scroll further down on the website, all of the services we provide are there. Yeah. So you may decide, hey, I know a mom or one of my friends is going through a hard time. I want to give her a guidance reading and what that might be.
Yeah, that's why they didn't even get to your readings you do. No, so we got to do part two. We got to do the part two. That's all that is. So I really, Sasha, thank you for going over time with me. But this is, absolutely. I never heard of a death doula. I've always heard of doulas, but it was always with childbirth. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But this is the other end of the rainbow, so to speak. Okay.
It's a beautiful end.
Yeah, when you understand it, it is. And you
Hmm.
made it very interesting just based upon the responses. So I honor you. Thank you so, so much. All right. And so we will have you back. That's for sure. So
I'll be.
everybody, this is her website. Please take note. Please, I would suggest that all of you go to sashaswholeearth.com to see all these things she talked about. And each of them, she explains everything in writing. But the point is, place your orders and get stuff for Mother's Day, for the man in your life that's kind of been slipping a little bit, because we men do slip every now and then, to help them tighten their act up. All right. And get that together too. So y'all can have a good old time. Okay, what do you call it? Private party?
It's definitely a good private party.
Sasha, thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
See, this was great. This was great. See, told you. No problem. This is
It
great.
was absolutely. Anytime you need me, just let me know. I'm happy to come back.
Well, you will definitely be back, no question. And we'll do a part two. I'll talk about all the other things you do in addition to what you've expressed. I got intrigued about the deaf doula part because all of us got to go that way. But there are things I don't think we think about until the last moment. But I
Absolutely.
will say this from that lady, Ayula,
Mhm.
author. I think the question she asked all of us need to do that. How do we see ourselves in the last stage of our lives? And I think that therefore we would begin to treat our relatives better, but more so treat ourselves better too. That's all.
Absolutely.
Thank you, lady. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This was fun. Um, okay. If you can hold on one moment, okay, that'd be
Okay.
great. All right, everybody. This is her website. Please, y'all, make sure y'all go
Not
there
the
and
ancestors, not
definitely, without question, really support this system. But go and get those products. All right. Mother's Day is around the corner, literally this Sunday. So happy Mother's Day to the mothers to be, to the future mothers that are not even thinking about it at this point. And make sure you do that. I do have a couple of announcements before I go. And let me see something here. Monday, I'm going to be doing some readings for people who uh, didn't get a chance and people did put in their birthdays. I do have my online course today. It ends today. I have a Learn from Lloyd series, how to read a person like a book, the do's and don'ts of numerology and numerology and beyond, or the next step, I should say, numerology next step. It's on sale. Just go to my website, which you see Linktree numbers in you. By the way, please, for those of you who want to get the newsletter, the monthly newsletter, they are absolutely free. And one of the sponsors that I have, Miss Kimberly, we've now did a joint thing each month, the last 5 months, where we actually record that. So you'll hear the narrative, such as this, as you see here. If you look, you can see there she is. And this is when we did May. And at the bottom, all your zodiac signs. So you can go right to your sign. You can go right to your relative sign, your children's sign, the person you don't like sign, whatever the case is. Check yours out and then check theirs out too. But all of that is on there. And all you got to do is go to YouTube, and it's called May 2024 Astro Numerology Forecast by Zodiac Sign. All righty. And speaking of that, there are a few of you who responded to wanting to learn this as a career. I would be honored to certify you. I have many decades of doing this. Seriously. I mean, I have my credentials, I have my receipts too with this and the work I've done. So if you're interested, at the bottom there, just send it to a star8llc at Gmail. There's a link right there for those learning the art of numerology as a career. This is for the serious only. Let me tell you, this is for the very serious only, because it's take a lot of work. It ain't gonna be no 1, 2, 3. It'll be much easier than when I was coming up, when this stuff was like kept under wraps and all that stuff and whatnot. So this is it here. So I want to thank them, but I need to thank all my sponsors. I'll work backwards. That's Jazz Aphrodite. She's having her class on the 18th on cardology cycles. She is good. I know this. I talk about her all the time, but you gotta see and experience what I have to know what I'm talking about. I need to thank Miss Kimberly also. for her Manifest on Purpose. That's every Monday and Wednesday morning on YouTube channel, right there, Manifest on Purpose with Kimberly. And also, I need to thank my brand new sponsor, my recent sponsor, Nicholas Brooklyn at 1396 Fulton Street in Brooklyn, New York City. This particular Saturday, she's having Brother Impeducey. I've had him on my show about a month and a half. No, I had him back on in February during Black History Month. All you got to do is go to my YouTube channel, Numbers in You, and you can see the interviews I've done with him and all the other guests if I miss. And for those that missed Sunday before last, Brother Rizza Islam, I was there. I mean, the brother's very dynamic, okay? And if you want to get the live stream, please call there. It'll be complimentary. You got to go through Nicholas Brooklyn. So that's it. And I want to thank my sister that gave me this 7. She's a 7 also. So, and I love 7. Actually, all y'all should love your numbers because you ain't got no choice about the matter anyway. So I do want to thank everybody very, very much. I do want you to all take care of yourselves. Y'all have a blessed day. Don't forget, Mother's Day is coming up. Mothers, please get yourself, and all women, even you ain't got to be a mother, just get yourself one of these teas that you can use to make yourself healthy and wholesome and things like that. So let me do one more thing before I do this. I keep saying I'm gonna get off this show, but hold on. These are the teas that you should get. It's just a review. So if you miss it, just the playback will be on YouTube in about maybe 10 or 15 minutes. So you can view what these teas are. But if you go to her website, sashaswholeearth.com, you will see all of them. All right. And she explains in detail. All you got to do is click on the image and she breaks it up as to what it's about. And again, what blew my mind is how affordable they are. Y'all are very lucky. Okay. I want all y'all to have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. Y'all take good care of yourselves. And if you don't, the question is, who will? Take care.